I have the honor of presenting our executive director, and this is the best part of the program, which is where we find out what Impact Network is about, what we're trying to do, and kind of why it's different and why you should care. And so Dan, I will introduce you. He is a good friend of mine, ex-roommate, and an excellent person. So why don't you come up?
So I grew up in a family of teachers, not just my family who's here tonight, but also my extended family, aunts, uncles, cousins, the whole 9 yards. So really it's in my blood. And so I always kind of grew up thinking that I would become a teacher of sorts. And I really did for the first part of my life. I was a summer camp counselor, I was a basketball coach, I was a TA in college. And then after I graduated college, I discovered that I had another passion as well. And that's startup companies. I had the great fortune of being a part of not one, but 2 different startup companies. I really loved being able to kind of unleash my creative potential and create these kind of world-changing products. But at the same time, while I was working for these companies, there was still something missing for me. I missed being a part of that education world as well. So it kind of all came together for me in 2008 when I went to visit my friend David Seidenfeld in Zambia. And I found a way to basically bring those 2 passions together, and both the kind of the startup world and the education world. So up on the left there, that's David. He did the Peace Corps in Zambia about 10 years ago, and during his time there, he built a school with a grant from a World Bank. And about 2 years later, he partnered up with Mike and Reshma, and they helped to fundraise for a second school block. And so when I was out there in Zambia, I was really inspired by the work that they had done, and we got to talking and decided to kind of join teams and found Impact Network. And the plan was to basically build some more schools and build on the success that they'd already had. And so we did. We built some more schools, and this is kind of what it looked like in some of the schools that we built. So you can see the kids they're attending, they're happy, they're smiling, and everything seemed good. But like a year went by, and we started to realize pretty quickly that building the school was actually the easy part. The hard part was providing a good education for these kids after the fact. And building the school was just a construction project. And we started to look at what quality of education we were providing these kids, and it wasn't that good. We had untrained teachers, they didn't have a curriculum, and really we just weren't that proud of what was happening in our schools, so we decided to do something about it. And the first thing we did was we actually went to go visit some other schools that other NGOs had built and see what was happening at their schools, what was going on. And it was much, much worse. So this is a school that was built by the Reformed Church of Zambia, and you're looking at their supply room. So as you can see, it's a little bit understocked. Here is a school that was nearby that was built by Care International in around 2002, 2003. And you can see lots of kids, but no desks, no books, no school supplies, and the teachers there weren't being paid. And as we started going around to more and more schools, we started to realize this wasn't the exception, this was the rule. And we figured out why. What happened was this. So that bag of money, that's the government's bag of money. And the government of Zambia, about 10 years ago, they had enough money to support a few government schools. Then what happened was the Millennium Development Goals came along and said, we want universal primary education. And so they called on NGOs to build a lot more schools. So they did. But what happened was the government didn't have any money for these new schools. They were already tapped out with the schools that they already had. And so the expectation was that the communities themselves, these dollar-a-day communities and villages, would actually run the schools themselves. But they didn't have the resources or the expertise to do so, so you get what you saw in those other 2 pictures. Not very good. So Impact Network, for the last 4 years, we've really been working on this product, this solution to this problem, and we call it the eSchool 360. It's a holistic solution, e-learning solution. It gives high-quality education at a really, really low cost. So we try to be as cheap as possible, really. It costs about $3 a month per student, which is less than half the cost of government schools. And we currently have 10 schools that we're running. We have 7 that we built, and we have 3 that we have adopted. And now we're looking at going in to adopt all those other thousands of community schools out there. 91% of students in Zambia are failing to meet desired standards on national tests, just failing, basically. So, we're getting pretty close in terms of universal access to education. The UN says we're about 90% of the way there, but we are a long, long way from having universal quality, and that's really what we are working on. Which gets me to my second story, why you're here, which is also known as the story of the boy in the construction paper hat. So this is the boy in the construction paper hat. So this is a Masuso in the green, and he's one of our students. And what happened is about 2 months ago, we got a knock on the door from one of the government officials, and they invited us out to come to a district literacy competition. So randomly we sent Masuso and another girl from our schools, and without any sort of previous preparation, they did awesome. They beat out older students from 3 different government schools, and Masuso actually came in 2nd place overall and won himself a beautiful pink backpack. Apparently they like them out there. Incidentally, the student that came in first was actually also a former graduate of our schools that had moved on to the government schools. So we're seeing a lot of this sort of evidence of real, learning going on, of really, making a difference in these kids' lives. And that's why you guys are here, to really make a difference in the lives of kids like Masuso. But like Mike said, it's not just about 10 schools. We want to scale, and we want to scale nationally and internationally. About 2 weeks ago, we just got our first funding from the Zambian Ministry of Education, which is a big deal because the Zambian ministry is not really in the business of giving out money to foreign NGOs. So we're very excited about this, and what we're doing next is we have a contract with American University. They're coming out next year. They're doing an independent study of our schools, and they're going to kind of pit our kids against government school kids and really see how they compete in a big study. And hopefully with those results from the study, we'll be able to deepen that ministry partnership and really take it to scale. So when you guys are supporting our students tonight, it's not just about making kind of a one-on-one impact in their lives, it's also about supporting the pilot that really may be rolled out to thousands and thousands of schools. So that's it. I wanted to thank you for being a part of our network, and I'll leave you with just one quote. And I used it last year, but I really do think that it applies to all of us here tonight. And that's that a small group of thoughtful people could change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. So thanks for being a part of our small group and part of our mission to bring quality education to all children.